Welcome to the Holistic Success Show. I'm Elizabeth Lozano.
And I'm Dr. Robert Puff. Today our guest is an expert on how to live a positive life.
Dr. Puff is going to be talking to us about the keys to success, as well as how to heal from the death of a loved one.
And we have a question from you about how to overcome old fears.
Another question is going to be about how to express your anger in healthy ways. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show.
I'd like to talk today about the 3 keys of career success. We all have to work throughout our life, and I think it's very important to do that well and do that successfully. So what do I feel are the 3 keys of career success? Number 1, do what you love. Do what you love. So many people do a job because it pays the bills, because someone told them they were good at it, because it just fell into their lap. They didn't really plan out their course. They're not passionate about what they're doing. And if you don't put your heart into it, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're really not going to be successful. I mean, you may make money, and you may people may look up to you, but if you're not in love with what you're doing, you're really not going to be what I would call successful. The second thing to do is to do whatever you do your work with excellence. Do your work with excellence. Because if you do it with excellence, you're going to perform well at it, you're going to really enjoy it, and it's going to matter. It's going to impact other people's lives. You're going to keep growing at it, and you're just going to keep getting better at it, and it's going to go well. When you do something with excellence, there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of accomplishment, there's a sense of just feeling good about what you do. And then lastly, and equally as important, do something that improves the lives of other people. Do something that improves the lives of other people. We are here for a purpose. We are here to help and to love others and ourselves, but we are here to help others. So if you're doing something that isn't helping others, I think I would encourage you to ponder that and saying, is there a way that what I'm doing I can make to improve the lives of other people? Because I think if all 3 of those are there, you love what you're doing, you do it with excellence, and you're making people's lives better, you're going to find career success really beyond your imagination, because it's a wonderful way to go through life. If I can use Elizabeth and I as an example, this show that we're producing for you, that we love to produce, we're both very passionate about it. We've both been involved with film and media for years, and we really love doing this. That's why we created this show for you. 2, we're regularly studying how to be good at it. We study about media appearances and performance and public speaking and health and spirituality and holistic health, and just always learning so we can bring more to you. So we're constantly trying to become as good as possible for you. And then lastly, we of course love to help other people around the world and improve people's lives. So I encourage you to do the same. It can look very different than what we do, but do those 3. Love it, be great at it, and help others. Peace.
This week's first question is from Tanya M. in Juneau, Alaska. When I was 12 years old, my cousin and I were playing in the pool. He held me underwater, which seemed like an eternity. Ever since that time, I cannot be near a pool or I get panic attacks. I am now 30 years old and would like to conquer this fear. What can I do?
Tanya, you have really 2 options, and the second one is the one I'm going to recommend, but let me just explain the first option. The first option is basically it's traumatic, it's intense, it works, but I just really don't recommend it because it is traumatic. It's basically just dive into a swimming pool, force yourself to be around water, and your body would get so overwhelmed it will probably ultimately maybe get used to it. But that one I really don't recommend. I think it's so traumatic. I don't like traumatic things, so I like the gentle approach. So what I recommend is gently, again, expose yourself to pools. Like maybe walk within 20 feet of a pool, and then just breathe deeply. So where meditation is great is you breathe and you meditate, you'll calm down, and then get a little bit closer. Stop, meditate, breathe deeply. and get a little closer. And then with time, put a foot in the pool, and then put 2 feet, and just pause. Every time you get a little anxious, breathe deeply, and then go a little bit further. Get a little nervous, stop, breathe deeply, relax, and go a little deeper. And you just keep going and going till you will ultimately reach a point where you'll be able to be in the pool, and you'll feel calm and you'll feel relaxed. And those feelings may come back periodically, because conditioning, if it's been reinforced for you for so long, it's going to take you a bit of time. But if you keep each and every time you get overwhelmed and those feelings are there, if you just pause, take a deep breath, just stay calm, and wait until your heart quiets down, then go forward, I think you'll find that'll be a very effective way of overcoming your fear of swimming. What are your thoughts?
What Dr. Puff was just referring to is called desensitization. You're basically desensitizing yourself of this fear that you have, which was a very real fear as a child, but you realize now it's kind of getting in the way. And I know this can seem really scary, even just the thought of it, and there are therapists that you can go to help you through what you're going through. They can help be kind of a guide through you, and perhaps you visualize it at first before you actually get out there to even be near a pool. And you may want to start there. Maybe you start by looking at a picture of it, because that could actually bring up some intense emotions for you. And perhaps maybe have somebody who you trust that you could be there with you. Maybe there's a real fear in you that you're going to drown or something's going to happen. And if you know that you have somebody safe who you can really trust that's there with you, maybe not your brother, but if you can have somebody there, that's why I recommend even a therapist that can help you through that. That would be something that would be very good for you. And the reason why he talks about just the breathing is you're now pairing something relaxing with the image of the pool, because otherwise you have paired anxiety, your heartbeat, and all of those things are paired together. We're trying to pair pool with relaxation, even if it's music or something that helps you to relax as well.
So Tanya, most importantly though, what you're doing is you're willing and wanting to face your fear, and that's the most important step to changing it. So best of luck to you.
We wish you all the best, and thank you so much for your question. Our guest this week is Eddie Connor. He's an author, soul intuitive, radio host, and creator of HighFrequency Living on LA Talk Radio, as well as creator of Metaphonics, which is learning through enlightenment while making metaphysics fun. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So can you tell us, what is HighFrequency Living?
High frequency living is all about when you are purposefully choosing to tune into thoughts, feelings, and frequencies that feel good to you. For example, if you're thinking about dolphin pods, or if you're thinking about nature or sunsets over the beach, your frequency will innately start to rise. And high frequency living is about purposefully and intentionally choosing to look at things that uplift you from the inside out.
So thinking positive thoughts can really affect kind of my whole life. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
And in what way?
Thinking positive thoughts, most people will think the positive thought, and then what they'll end up doing is they think that the thought is what's creating their reality, when in actuality, it's not the thought, it's how you feel when you think the thought. So I call it thought, feeling frequencies. So thinking positive thoughts is good if you can feel good with the thought you think. So if you're saying, I have lots of money, and you're feeling broke, you're actually going to attract more broke, more lack, more scarcity. So it's thinking the positive thoughts with the feeling frequency that accompanies it.
So let's talk about money, okay? So if somebody wants to attract more money in their life, or maybe right now they have a low frequency and they're doing that, they're saying, I want more money because I don't have any money. I want more money because I don't have any money. That's a low frequency, correct? Would you say?
That's absolutely a low frequency.
Okay, so how would somebody change that?
Great question. First of all, I loved your analogy, because whenever you said, I want more money, your posture went up. And then your posture went down. It went up and it's down. And that's exactly how frequency works. For example, the high frequency means it's good, it feels good to you, and it's opulent and abundant. A low frequency means it's scarcity, it's lack, it's not enough. So think of it as high, rich thought, low, poor thought. Most people, when they talk about money, I call it the money but syndrome. They want the money, but they're getting in their own way. So the quickest way to change it, the word money, first and foremost, is to start talking about things that make you feel rich. Dolphin pods, sunsets, nature, anything that feels good, nice people letting you in traffic, all of those are high frequency attributes that will bring you more riches and abundance and opulence.
Would it be okay if you're thinking about yourself having money later and getting massages because that feels good, and getting pedicures and whatever else the person might like?
Absolutely. That's all about projecting an energy vortex. So the thoughts that you just thought, you were sending out into the universe, and the universe is saying yes, yes, yes to more, more, more.
Awesome. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. Speaking of the big butt syndrome, I know you wrote a book on this, and I think it's
Yes.
really important that we talk about this because you do have a picture of a butt on here, but it's BUT, right?
Yes.
Because the word BUT really gets in the way for people. Can
It
you talk
does.
about how?
Absolutely. The word but, it's an actionable acronym for believing unnecessary thoughts.
And I want you to hear that. Unnecessary is what he said.
Absolutely. And we do it all the time. We'll think the thoughts that scare us to death. And when we do that, we're absolutely sabotaging and contradicting what we want. Mm-hmm. Now, the but is the acronym for believing unnecessary thoughts. So let's talk about money. And most people will say, I really want money, but I don't know where I'm going to get where I'm going to get any. And then what happens is the universe says yes to no money and yes to wanting money. And the energy pulls like this, and their energy is contradicted or contradicted. Our whole mission is to help people uplift themselves up and out of that negative quagmire.
I can't tell you how many times I see that with people. They say the word but all the time, even in therapy when I work with people.
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, but. Oh, well, yeah, but.
Yeah.
Or in an ideal world, but we're not. And it's like, Dr. Puff, actually, we often talk about that if it exists out there somewhere in the universe, it means it's possible. So if it's happened one time,
That's
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So whether it's winning the lottery or whether it's starting a business or doing something you love, yeah, you can do what you love. You can do that and be successful at it. But I think if you have, I just said but.
But,
if you think that, it's not going to work for me, I can't make money making the things that I love or making my little knickknacks or whatever it is that the person is doing, they're on a low frequency then, correct?
That's exactly right. The low frequency is usually the big butt kingdom. And I call it invisibutts. Like you can see somebody with lots of money. And if you feel negative frequency in your solar plexus, you're going to attract lack of money, not abundance. If you feel envious or jealous of anything around you that's opulent and beautiful, you will end up attracting lack, poverty, and not enough. So, and the word is so tricky because an invisibutt is when you see something you want and you feel envious of it. If you feel envious of it, you've got to pay attention to the frequency in your solar plexus.
Okay.
So it's high frequency money is anything that really lights you up from the inside out. And low frequency money is anything that makes you feel more lack, more not enough.
Well, I really like that you touched on the jealousy thing because I think a lot of people do struggle with that, even on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
And it's important to acknowledge that and where that's coming from and maybe turn that around because it's not going to help you. It makes us do not nice things.
Yeah.
It makes us feel in not nice ways. That's definitely a low frequency, I would imagine. If you've got that green-eyed monster, that's why they call it the green-eyed monster, right?
That's exactly right. When you're seeing something that's important to you, whether it's love, money, or career, and let's say you really want a love relationship. Mm-hmm. When you want a love relationship, if you see a room full of people that are all at the movies, munching on their popcorn, they're all getting ready to go in and hold hands and kissy-kissy. And if you want a relationship and you don't have it, and you're in a room full of people that do have it, you will feel in your solar plexus megaphone a low frequency jab right in your gut. When you feel that jab in your gut, that's your soul saying, this relationship is more important to you than you even realized that it was. And instead of beating yourself up about it, what you do is you play with the frequency. You look around and do what I call appreciasking. If you see the attractive couple up there, you're going to say things like, I like this couple's frequency. I like the way he's holding the small of her back. I like how thoughtful he was to open the door for his mate. And as you're appreciating those things, you're asking the universe to bring you more things that feel like that. And appreciasking is a high frequency that will bring you more love, money, and career.
I like that a lot.
I can tell you do.
Wonderful words of wisdom. Okay, and then you also have this, it's a DVD or a CD?
It's a DVD.
Living the High Frequency Life, and then also Get Your Money Frequency On. Can
Get
you
Your
talk
Money
about the
Frequency.
importance of these and why you developed these?
Absolutely. The reason for developing the DVD is because it gives you 10 visual ways so that you can see and hear and then get that feeling frequency on how to create what you do want instead of what you don't want. And remember, Elizabeth, a lot of people are walking around doing the push-pull paralysis with their thoughts and their feeling frequencies. High frequency living, it gives you things like the oval mirror, I'm a firm believer the universe is a mirror, and whatever you think and feel, the universe says, I love you, here's more. And most people are observing, vibrating, attracting, and living things that don't feel good to them. And if you're contradicting yourself in money, you want money, but you don't know where it's going to come, the universe will send you both things, and then you get stuck in the rut of the big butt syndrome. And the Money Freak CD is about learning to laugh into your beliefs about money, so you don't have low frequency negative beliefs about money.
Okay, and if somebody wants to get a hold of you, you also have a free, the show that you have is free, and you can access it online, which I think is important for our viewers. So how can somebody get a hold of you and listen to your radio show?
Great question. It's called HighFrequency Living with Eddie, Connor, and Friends. It's on latalkradio.com, and you can go through latalkradio.com or through eddieconnor.com. That's CONNER, because I'm an not an or.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
In our lives, tragedy sometimes strikes. And in order to continue with our life, we need to heal those tragedies so that we can go forward and continue to have a good life and not get stuck in that tragedy. So today I'd like to share a story of an example of that of someone I worked with many years ago. His name was James, and James was referred to me because he was having headaches, he couldn't sleep well at night, he had stomach aches, he was fighting with his wife, he was yelling at his children, and life just wasn't going well. He was very miserable. So what I did is I started asking him questions. And what I found was about 7 years prior, he'd been married for about 5 years, about 7 years prior, he was married to someone else, and he came home one day, and the police came to the door and told him that his wife had been killed in an accident, and it was a drunk driver that had done it. And he felt, obviously, a lot of pain, but it was too overwhelming for him. So what he did instead of grieving that and going through the natural process of getting well to this tragedy, he got busy. He loved soccer, and he just dove into the world of soccer. He got into being a coach, became soccer league chairman, was just very actively involved. 2 years later, he met another woman, got remarried. They had children a few years after that. And he was just a very, very busy man. And all of that busyness was distracting him from that pain inside of him that was still very much alive and needing healing. So what I encouraged him to do, because he was a very good client, he did what I asked him to do. I said, every day, and I took what he loved, every day, set up a soccer ball in your backyard with a net and kick it for half an hour. But don't just kick it. Kick it and think about your pain, your anguish over what happened with your wife. He was angry, obviously, at the man that had caused the accident because of his drinking, and now his wife has passed. There was anger towards God because, why did God let this happen? And I just encouraged him to feel that. And what happened was, as he was allowed to express that anger, because it was there already, he started to get better. And sometimes when he was kicked the ball, he'd stop and just tears would flow because he really missed his wife. And even though he loved his current family, he still had sadness. He hadn't grieved. And in the process of grieving, in the process of doing what I call anger work, he got better. He got amazingly better, and it's really neat because over the years, it was many, many years ago, I heard from him. I've heard from him 6, 7 times over the years. He'll send me a Christmas card and let me know how he's doing, and he continues to do really well because he had a tool, and he used that tool, his little soccer ball in that net, to heal from tragedy. In life, we sometimes face tragedy, and it isn't nothing fun in that, but it's important to make sure that we heal from that. It's very difficult, it takes time, but please take the time, because when it hits, if you don't treat it like James, there will be consequences, but if you heal it like James, your life can go on and still be beautiful. Peace.
This week's second question is from Tristan in Austin, Texas. When I get angry, I can't control my emotions. I yell and shout. I want to be able to discuss the problem, but my brain shuts off and my emotions take over. How can I stop this from happening?
Tristan, there's a lot of ways we could address that because we've written a book and we give workshops all over the world on anger management. We're considered experts around the world on that. But I want to give you some really practical tools and visualizations you can use to help you control your anger. See yourself like a dynamite, but your fuse is really short right now. If you get that fuse longer, when you're in situations that cause you to get angry, you won't get angry as fast. When the fuse is short, boom, explode, and you hurt people. But if it's longer, then you can make good choices to remove yourself from the angry situation. Because the key of it is, you don't want to get angry at other people, and you don't want to take your anger out on yourself. Those are really the keys. Instead, you want to take your anger out on inanimate objects or working out in ways that are very healthy. We have hundreds of examples of them in our book, Anger Work. But the important thing is to realize that your anger is okay as long as you don't take it out on other people. Right now, you are taking it out on other people because your fuse is very short. But if we can get that fuse longer, you'll still be angry. But what will happen is, because any of us can get angry at some point, but if that fuse is so long and you get it longer and longer, it's just much less likely to be taken out on other people. Because through our writings, if you read about what we talk about, then you'll be better able to deal with and know how to respond appropriately when you're in an angry situation. But the key is really to get that fuse longer. What do you think?
I also think it's really important to acknowledge where that anger is coming from in the first place. Not only right now, but why am I reacting this way? I bet you, if you look into your history, you learn that behavior somewhere. I always talk with parents. I remember I had a parent that I was working with once, and she said, I don't know why my son throws a temper tantrum and throws things and screams when he gets angry. And I said, well, what do you do when you get angry? And she looked at me like, oh, she did those very things. And I said, how is a child supposed to know? Let me take deep breaths, let me go for a walk, let me paint. There's no way a child's going to know how to do those things. And guess what? That child grows up. And here you are now an adult. And like I said, maybe I'm totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure somewhere in your life you saw that. And it's about learning these new skills and new techniques that Dr. Puff was talking about to make your fuse longer, so that when you get upset, it's twofold. One, you do those things to make your fuse longer. So you go for walks, you exercise, you take more time to take care of yourself. And the other thing is when you start to feel yourself get angry, if you find yourself going from 0 to 10 in 2.5 seconds, you need to be aware when you're at a 1. Not just a 5, because it goes really quick for some people. So be aware, oh, I'm starting to feel a little agitated right now. It's awareness of your body and your mind. You'll start to feel it. You can maybe feel like the tension rising. You might feel the heat in your body rise. Be aware of that. Go for a walk. Take some deep breaths. Go outside. Do something to de-escalate yourself, okay?
And there's many tips we can give you, and I really would encourage you to check out our book, Anger Work, How to Express Your Anger and Still Be Kind. But the most important and real quick tip I'd like to give you is just remove yourself from the situation when you're angry. Again, just remove yourself from the situation when you're angry. You won't be rational in that situation, so go away. That's the best response you can do right now, because it's very simple and you can do it right away.
And we wish you all the best on your path towards healing and happiness. Our quote this week is by Leo Buscaglia. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. I think it's so important to take that throughout your day and remember that just a smile or a kind word can really make a difference for somebody's life. Thank you for joining us on the Holistic Success Show. If you'd like to learn more about meditation and how to bring more peace and joy into your life, please check out our Meditation for Health podcast, available on our website and on iTunes.
And if you have a company and are interested in being partners with us in the show, please contact us about being a sponsor.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.